Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Now today we are doing another video on Arlecchino because today we're going to be going over what kind of weapons Arlecchino could actually use really well within her kit. So if you guys didn't see my video already, I have already made one video on Arlecchino literally yesterday, so do go check that one out. I might put a link in the description actually just to make it easier for you guys. It's a pretty long video, so just skip through the video if you need to. But yeah, it's a very long video, mainly because I got distracted half the time, like I always do, or I just waffled a lot, like I always do, like I am currently doing right now. So yeah, but anyway, guys, Arlecchino is a 5-star pyro polearm user. Now we're going to use those information to really, well, the polearm bit at least, anyway, to really understand what kind of weapon she wants to go for. Now, Arlecchino. Her Ascension passive is literally crit. Her Ascension stat is crit damage. She has this effect with her Bond of Life, where if it's above 30% of her max HP, she'll receive a pyro damage bonus, so you want to, you know, kind of keep her above 30% of her Bond of Life at all times, really. Other than that, there's nothing else in her kit that really determines what type of weapon you really want to go. So yeah, that's really it, to be honest. So without further ado, then we'll move on to the weapons. But if you guys do want to know more of an in-depth, in-detailed view of Arlecchino's kit, I have made a video on that already, and I will probably put a link in the description for you guys to check out. So now, we're moving on to Arlecchino, Arch Latino, El Cappuccino, Daddiest Mum and Mummiest Dad. We will move on with the weapons. Now, these weapons, well, Beginner's Protector and Iron Point are actually one of her I'm joking, they're not. White Tassel, Halberd, and Black Tassel. Black Tassel is not great unless you're fighting slimes, but why? Halberd, this isn't bad, but you know, attack percent, you're missing out on the crit rate. You definitely want crit rate and crit damage. To be fair, the White Tassel might not be a bad option because it just increases your normal attack damage. And the problem with the White Tassel, though, is that you can only get it from chests and stuff. Yeah. In fact, I think this goes all the way up to 48%, which isn't actually that bad. But yeah, only if you're, like, you know, really, really unlucky with 4 stars, then would you go for this one. Dragon's Bane might not be that bad because it does increase damage against opponents affected by Hydro or Pyro, which obviously Arlecchino will be. So it's pretty good for a Vaporized team, but it gives Elemental Mastery, which is completely useless to Arlecchino, and the base attack is only 41, which is really, really low. And Arlecchino kind of wants a high base attack because of the way that her kit works. So honestly, I wouldn't recommend a Dragon's Bane. Prototype Star Glitter, you probably don't want this weapon either because its base attack isn't bad, but it's ER. Like, you don't really need that. You're mainly looking for something that gives you crit rate or crit damage or attack percent, worst case scenario. Crescent Pike would be great if it didn't come with physical damage bonus, so unfortunately that wouldn't work. Black Cliff Pole is definitely one of the best 4-star options for her because it gives you 55% crit damage and 510 base attack, so a really nice amount of crit damage and base attack. The passive is a little bit inconsistent though because it only triggers after you actually defeat an enemy and it can stack up to 3 times, so it does increase the attack, but like I said, against bosses, you're probably not going to trigger this passive at all or as much, but it's still a really nice stat stick to have. Deathmatch is also a nice weapon to have because it gives you a load of crit rate, right? And to be fair, it's probably better than Black Cliff Pole because Arlecchino also already gets a load of crit damage in her Ascension stat, right? So having the Deathmatch's crit rate is definitely a nice welcome. However, it does come with a very low 454 base attack. So the base attack isn't as high, but you are supplementing her with a lot of crit rate, like 33% crit rate, I think, which is actually a decent amount. Yeah. It also increases your attack as well, and your defense. So because Arlecchino doesn't act against groups of opponents, but because Arlecchino doesn't really have any way to self-sustain through external healing. She can only heal through herself, which her elemental skill is on a 15-second cooldown. It's not really going to be up all the time, so this defense increase is actually pretty nice to have for increased tankiness. So yeah, Lithic Spear is not bad, but once again, it relies on you having, you know, at least a few Liyueyan characters on your team. Now, Arlecchino is Fontanian, not Liyueyan, so Liyuanese, I guess. Yeah, she's not Liyueyan, Liyuanese, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, so it's not bad, but it really does restrict the team comp, so I wouldn't really recommend it unless you've got at least 3 Liyueyan characters on your team. Then I could probably say, yeah, go for it. But you know, it's not really a best case scenario. Favonius Lance, you don't want this. Royal Spear. So this is effectively when you damage an opponent, you increase the crit rate by 8%. Up to 5. Now, if you critically strike an opponent, all of the critical hits will go away. So basically, it gives you attack percentage, which is actually quite nice for Arlecchino, same like with this weapon. And it's not actually a bad free-to-play option either, but the problem is you do need to get it through the Star Glitter shop, which obviously, if you don't roll on the banner a lot, you won't have a lot of Star Glitter, so you won't have this weapon lying around. Yeah, but it gives you crit rate, which is really nice, because Arlecchino already gets crit damage, and it also gives you attack percentage, which is nice for Arlecchino's overall kit as well, because she has some ludicrous scalings with her attack percentage. So yeah, Dragon Spine Spear, this weapon was a complete mistake. I should not have refined it to level 2. That was a massive mistake on my part, but don't do it. Contain Cross Spear, no, not the catch. Wavebreaker's Fin. For every point in the entire party member's maximum energy capacity, the elemental burst damage of the character equipping this weapon is increased by this. So this is mainly just elemental burst damage. Yeah, no, you don't want this weapon. Moon Piercer gives you elemental mastery. The thing is this is a good weapon, but it does restrict Arlecchino to a burning team. Yeah. And you do gain attack, but remember, it restricts Arlecchino to a burning team. And there aren't really any dedicated burning supports right now, right? And in terms of Dendro units, if you're free to play, you really only have the Traveler, which you don't want to use a Pyro unit with the Traveler anyway, because of the way their ultimate works with the burning reaction. Collei, which everyone should have, and Yao Yao. I don't know if there's any other 4-star Dendros. Oh, Carve, but Carve's a DPS, so, and I don't think really anyone wants Carve after the incident. But, yeah, so this definitely restricts Arlecchino's team, and it gives EM, which Arlecchino doesn't really want. But if you're going for, like, a burning reaction build on Arlecchino, then I guess it could work, but not in my recommendation. Missive Wind Spear, so attack percent, and whenever you trigger an elemental reaction, your attack is increased by 12% and your elemental mastery is increased by 48%. Another nice stat stick for just attack percent and, you know, after triggering an elemental reaction. Yeah. However, if you, I believe this does work with mono pyro teams as well. If you're running like Pyro Crystallize or Pyro Swirl, I think it does work then as well. Yeah. Ballad of the Fjords. So this gives you crit rate, and when there's at least 3 different elemental types in your party, elemental mastery is increased by 120%. So this mainly just gives you a load of crit rate. That's literally all this weapon is for. It gives you a decent amount of crit rate. Effectively, yeah, but the passive is kind of useless. Honestly, you're probably better off going the Royal Spear, because that gives you more crit rate. Of course, it's inconsistent because, you know, it fluctuates depending on if you get a critical hit or not. But here's the thing. Arlecchino attacks so damn quickly in her combo that she can actually stack it up ridiculously fast once it resets, so it's not even that big of a problem. Yeah, I honestly think a better crit option is actually just the Royal Spear. The Rightful Report, no, and Dialogues of the Desert Sages, definitely not. Prospector's Drill. So when the wielder is healed or heals... Okay, well, no, that's not going to work. Yeah, this definitely won't work. Yeah, so that's all the 4 stars, guys. We'll move on to the 5 stars in a bit. But what 4-star options would I recommend? I would probably... Lithic Spear, I would definitely recommend if you do have it lying about. Black Cliff Pole. Lithic Spear and Black Cliff Pole, which just so happen to be the 2 pole arms, or weapons that actually come from the Star Glitter shop. So if you don't wish, you won't be in luck. But however, you might get Star Glitter currency when you're rolling for Arlecchino, so that could be a way you get her. But yeah, Blackcliff Polearm and what's it? Where is it? Where's it gone? Royal Spear is definitely really good. Lithic Spear is also quite decent, but it requires you to have at least 3 members from Liyue in order to make it worth it, at least in my opinion, because that way you'll get 21% increased attack and 9% increased crit rate, which isn't that bad, but you don't really want anything less than 3 party members. So yeah, Deathmatch isn't a bad option if you just need a load of crit rate, and the attack is also not that bad because the attack stat it gives you does supplement for the low base attack. So it's not that bad. It also makes you a little bit tanky as well. But honestly, other than that, I wouldn't really recommend any other option here. So yeah. Missive Wind Spear could also be pretty decent, so it's not a bad option, but definitely the lowest one out of all of them I would recommend. Now we'll move on to the 5 stars, guys. Staff of Homer is actually going to be, it's going to be a pretty decent option on Arlecchino. I mean, if you guys didn't know, I do have the Staff of Homer, and I do plan on using Arlecchino with the Staff of Homer once she comes out, mainly because I'm free to play, and this is really the only best polearm I actually have in the game. So, yeah. It gives you 608 base attack once fully leveled up, and 66.2% crit damage. But here's the funny thing, guys, right? 46, it's actually 608 plus 20% of your HP, because that's converted into attack, right? So realistically, it's around 750 base attack. The base attack you get from this weapon is insane. Yeah. And also, if Arlecchino's lower on HP, which she probably will be if you get hit or, stuff like that happens and she can't heal, it's definitely a pretty decent passive to have on her. Definitely not this. Vortex Vanquisher is not really that great because as a weapon, it's just not amazing. Primordial Jadewing Spear is literally her weapon, right? But just... like, it's literally her weapon copy-pasted, except it gives you attack percent stacks instead of Bond of Life stacks and damage dealt increase. Yeah, I mean, it does increase the damage dealt because it gives you 3.2%. So that's like 22-ish% increased attack percentage. And it also increases your damage dealt by 12 seconds. And the best part is if you've been rolling on the banners since the very beginning, you might have a few copies of the Primordial Jadewing Spear because it's been in the game since the very beginning. So yeah, you might actually have a decent amount of these stored up. But this is definitely up there with Staff of Home. I would say a really great option. Yeah, Calamity Queller is not bad, but it does give you a load of attack, to be fair. A load of it, like 741 plus attack percent as a stat. The problem is, though, is that it doesn't give you any crit. And Arlecchino, you kind of do want some crit rate on her, unless you get it through substats and stuff. But it basically gives you 12% increased elemental damage bonus. And after you use an elemental skill, your attack is increased. What is it? After using elemental skill, this attack has a max of 6 stacks. Okay, so basically whenever Arlecchino does her elemental skill... she'll basically gain 3.2% attack, increasing to 6. So I don't know how the actual stacking effect works properly, but it's just a massive attack stat stick if you need it, and you don't really need the crit rate anymore, which I don't think so, but yeah. Staff of the Scarlet Sands is not a great option on her, guys, and the reason I say that is, yes, it does give her a load of crit rate, but the base attack is really low, like 542, which for a 5-star is not insanely high, right? And also, it converts your attack or your elemental. It basically gets your elemental mastery as bonus attack, basically. Yeah, which isn't that bad. But Arlecchino, you don't really want to be building elemental mastery on her anyway, because you're probably going to be running a Vaporize team, a Mono Pyro team. You're not really going to be running like a Dendro-related team with Arlecchino. You can, but I wouldn't really recommend it. So unless you're running her with like a Dendro-related team, this weapon could be good. But even then, it's still kind of copium, really. And Crimson Moon of Semblance, believe it or not, guys, this weapon will actually out-damage the Staff of Homer. Yeah, because of the way that the actual passive works, the damage bonus it gives is actually quite ridiculous. And on top of that, it gives you Bond of Life as well, which Arlecchino kind of wants. So, yeah, but... in terms of how I would go, Crimson Moon Semblance is definitely the best in-slot option for Arlecchino. Then in joint second place, I would put Primordial Jadewing Spear and Staff of Homer. I think Staff of Homer does beat out Primordial Jadewing Spear, simply because of the fact that the crit damage and base attack it gives is insanely high compared to the Primordial Jadewing Spear, but this does give you increasing attack as well as damage dealt, so it could be close, but I honestly think the Staff of Homer is a little bit better than the Primordial Jadewing Spear. Either way, joint second place, and then, probably go Calamity Queller and then Staff of Scarlet Sands. Yeah, because I genuinely think that the attack is going to be better than the crit rate here, because, number one, the attack is just going to boost Arlecchino's raw damage overall, and you know, the passive is at least a bit more useful on Arlecchino. Yeah. But the rest of the options aren't really amazing. So I guess we'll leave it there, guys. That's basically been it for this video. There really wasn't that much to cover apart from what weapons are really going to suit her. So for 5 stars, once again, guys, first place is her signature. Second place, joint, is Primordial Jadewing Spear and Staff of Homer. Third place, Calamity, and then Staff of Scarlet Sands. And then for 4 stars, I would definitely say, Royal Spear, there we go. Royal Spear and Blackcliff Pole probably joint first place, I would say. Maybe Blackcliff Pole probably first place, but this is a very good second place. Then probably go Deathmatch. And Lithic Spear really depends on your actual comp, so yeah. But anyway, guys, that's basically been the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. I have been Carvenus14 and still am, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.